So I thought I'd show you another of my sketchbooks that I'm working through, with a couple of thoughts to go with this. Why have an art journal? Well, for me, it's inspiring, even if I don't have much time, just to jot down a little idea or something that inspires me. I don't even have to draw things. I can stick photos in, anything that is inspiring to my creative process. I might not do anything else with it apart from just put it in the sketchbook, or I might use it as a springboard to do another piece of work. As you know, I've got several projects on the back burner that are bubbling away, which I don't always pick up and do something with straight away, but I'll be collating information or inspirational things for them. I've got a children's book, which I'm going to be hopefully working on a bit more later on this year, which involves a counting book, and one of the pages is kites. And when I'm on holiday, I love to take my little kite that's very easy to fly, and that was just really inspiring, just being on holiday. So to begin with, why journal? You don't even have to feel particularly artistic. You can have just an appreciation for something beautiful, or something that brings you joy, like a picture of a flower or your cat or your dog, or just something inspiring, which could just be the colour of the bricks or the design of the wall that you see on the way to work. You know, and you see little tiny flowers growing in the cracks of concrete. So, you know, I would suggest, if you want to be inspired but you don't feel particularly creative, is get yourself a little sketchbook, not very big even. You can carry it in your handbag and, you know, just pop things in. Inspiring pictures from a magazine, things like that. So a couple of things I was going to talk about, and I've mentioned in my blogs before about Geli Printing. That's a huge inspiration for me. And if you don't know what Geli Printing is, I'll be posting a link to a blog after this video. But basically you have a gel block, which is made from gelatin, alcohol and glycerine and water. So it's a printing medium, and you ink up, you take this plastic outside off, you put some acrylic paint on, ink it up, and then you can use things found in nature, shapes in trees and leaves, and then you will do a print with paper on top of that. And so basically you're using the shapes in nature, which are just incredible, lots and lots of detail and amazing shapes, using the gel print to create lots of interesting prints. And then quite often I have so many prints left over, I don't know what to do with them, because each piece isn't a standalone piece of work, which leads me into collage. What is collage? Was basically using printed paper or pieces of fabric to incorporate into pieces of work. So this is a gel print which I've done, and it's a nice piece of work on its own, but it also could be torn up and used in a collage. So in my blog I'm talking about how this year I've done quite a lot of art journaling, and I did some short courses with some other artists who use scripture verses as inspiration. So I did this with a group of ladies from our church based on Matthew 6, about how the birds in the sky and the flowers of the field, God takes care of them, and how we don't need to be anxious about tomorrow, but to consider, to look at the birds and even get inspiration. How do they get on with their day? They're very busy. They're always looking for opportunities. So this was using leftover Geli prints, collage, and some just really nice shapes that came with the course. So this is, again, just a bit of sort of scrapbooking, really. And yeah, this is my journaling. Sometimes I'll use a stamp and some basic colours. This one we did a study on Psalm 139. And so we just picked out different words and made them into our piece of work. I'm using old prints that I have, just acrylic paint here. So I'm not going to go too slowly because there's a lot to show you here, but using your own writing as part of the picture. Here again, I'm tearing up some old lino prints that I did and using some decoration on the edge of the paper. Here, this is another bit of collage, very fine tissue paper has been ripped up. And this was part of my bird study, so you might see little pictures of birds in some of this work. There we go. And I made my own stencils out of foam and used those on the Geli print. So you get some gorgeous shapes that can repeat and repeat. And you use that on your piece of paper, and then that becomes the collage, which becomes another piece of work. Here we go, some more birds from that project. This was a collage based on a theme about mountains. So actually I used a lot of my previous Geli print paperwork and just ripped that up and stuck it on, put some writing on. So I didn't actually do very much painting apart from adding some colours here, but this is, again, collage. It's just very simple. And it's a lot of fun because you don't really know what's going to happen. So I really like collage as a medium. And it's also useful because you use every bit of paper. So I really very rarely throw anything away because I can reuse it. This was, again, a piece of printing that I didn't particularly like as a piece, but I've ripped it up and used it to be the rocks, which is very reminiscent of our holiday home that we go to in the summer. The rocks are really, really similar to this. So it's probably something that's indelibly etched in my mind, and it just comes out in the collage. Again, you can stick on music, sort of multimedia stuff. Again, here's some more birds from the printing project. So these are just fun inspiration. I'm not going to necessarily do anything with this work. It's just fun to look at. And then sometimes that can springboard into another piece of work. This is using actual grasses and the foam bird stencils. Now on holiday, I was flying my kite and I thought I need to get this down and just the feel of the clouds and how the different juxtapositions of the kite in the sky, ready for when I do my work with the children's counting book. Now this was the last week of work when we were on holiday, just going along the coastal walk of Borth to Aberystwyth, and you get some amazing coloured rocks. So a lot of the colours I was using was sort of picking up the theme of the colours in the surroundings. So raw sienna, Mars black, white and some yellow. That really reflected the colours of the sea. And so using the grasses that we found here. And some of these work really well just on their own. And this was a collage of some of the work that I churned out in about an hour and just decided to make it into an actual piece of collage. And I just love some of the shapes. Even this little shape here, I just think that would be a very interesting jewellery design. So we've got seeds, grasses from the beach, and then we've also got seaweed, which is just a fabulous shape. This was one of my favourite pieces. So simple, and it's actually recurred in lots of the prints. It was just a piece of grass that had this lovely flowing shape, and it repeated in lots of other pieces of work, which was really fun. Absolutely adore rocks and the slate grey. So I'm going to be doing some Geli print work from this bit of photography later in the year, and it's going to be to do with transferring black and white images, which I will take all the colour out and just have literally the blacks and the whites. And we'll be doing some printing projects, but that's for a later date. Here's my beloved kite. Inspirational, beautiful skies. More of the kite. So this will go towards my later work. I'm also hoping to really work on some sunset paintings again. So with these, I'm going to pull out my colour swatches that I've made, which I'll show a video about below, and how I'll lay different colour swatches around to see how I get those colours, and then I can practice getting the palette just right before I start painting. Again, we got some really great sunsets while we were away. So that's just a little inspiration of what I'm working on.